everybody. So we are so excited. We are here for our latest episode of Obscure Animation. We're here to talk about one that's probably more underrated than really obscure. But hey, sometimes we like to do that. Give a shout out. We're going to be talking about Rise of the Guardians from DreamWorks Animation. And my friend Stanford is here to talk about it with me.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. So happy to be here.
And had you seen this movie before? Before we talk about it?
I think I saw it in 2012, but I have to tell you, I'm not completely sure.
Yeah.
But it was really fun to revisit it again for this.
Yeah, I hadn't rewatched it in a while. I watched it I don't think I watched it this last year for Christmas because of my Hallmark onslaught. But I think I watched it the year before.
The busy time of year.
It was the last time I saw it, and so it was really fun to revisit it. And I always say that with DreamWorks Animation, I feel like they often do 2 films in a year, and I feel like usually the one that everybody else likes or makes a lot of money, I don't like, and the one that doesn't make a lot of money, I really like.
Yeah.
And so they really should not go off of my taste for their Evidently, I don't have.
They should though.
But and that is I forget which film came out the same time as this, but this was not the success that I think they wanted it to be. They hoped it would be, but I really enjoy it, and so I thought it'd be really fun to talk about it for this month. So what was your overall response on the sort of the rewatch of Rise of the Guardians?
So my favorite thing hands down about this film is the art in probably most all aspects. I love the character designs, which I think were really based off of William Joyce's work, who's the who served as an executive producer, but he's a prolific author and artist, and we can talk more about William Joyce because I have some other things I'd like to talk with you about. But I love the look of it. I love the character design, and it's a nice story. I think too overall it's a really nice story, and that's kind of a refreshing thing change from DreamWorks too. So yeah, What about for you?
I really enjoy it for a lot of the same reasons that you do. It is a beautiful film. The world building is amazing. The amount of detail that they went into, and I do really like the characters and the character designs. I really like, and I think that's all very strong. The story is a bit meandering at times, I think, but it does have a nice heart to it, and I think that overall, I think it's serviceable. The story, but everything else is just so above. Just everything else is just so lovely in it that I think it works for me, and I think it is one of their underrated films, and I think it avoids a lot of the cliches of DreamWorks.
Yes.
Also,
another reason why I really like it too. Yeah.
The cliches of DreamWorks and the cliches of a lot of modern
just
CG
like modern CG animated films. Yeah.
I mean, technically, I guess Santa, technically the various characters have like minion type things, but they're used very sparingly. Like Santa has those little elf creatures or whatever, and Sue has her little 2 things, but they actually have like a story and a purpose.
Yeah, there's a story, there's a purpose, and I don't feel like they take too much screen time either.
Yeah.
I think the gags that they're used for, I think they land pretty much most all the time.
And it's really played pretty straight. Like there's not a lot of like wink wink Shrekisms to this thing.
Right.
Which I hate.
Right. And and the potty humor and some of the other things which I don't really care for about in some DreamWorks films too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Madagascar films or the Shrek films, that like I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of those films are kind of funny on the first watch, but then like after you watch it again and you're just like, there's nothing. There's just not enough there. And I don't know, like the characters just aren't interesting. It's just kind of it's like going to a stand-up comic and then a mediocre stand-up comic, and then you chuckle a little bit. But then if you had to sit through that same thing again,
right? Like, exactly. It's like, oh, please don't make me.
That's how I feel about DreamWorks.
Not funny.
Most of the time. And but I feel like they avoided a lot of those problems with this.
Yeah, I do too, and I feel like, and it's because of, as you're saying too, the film's really got heart, and it works. I think it really works.
Yeah, and it was directed by Peter Ramsey, and he had been a animator, storyboard artist, and this is his main. It
was his like debut, wasn't it? Kind of like his feature film.
Yeah, and I'm looking. I guess he also then went on to direct, or he had done a short of Monsters vs. Aliens, Mutant Pumpkins before this, and it looks like he is directing the. This is exciting, actually. He's directing the new Spider-Man movie, co-directing.
Oh, that animated Spider-Man movie that Sony's doing?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that makes me even more excited about that.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
And he is the first African-American to direct a big budget feature animation, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, he did a nice job.
Yeah, so good job.
For sure.
So let's talk about the concept of this movie.
Yes.
It's based on these books, as you said, these graphic novels.
Yeah, that are called The Guardians of Childhood. It's
the
name of the book series. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, I kind of look at it as sort of kind of the Avengers for kids.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Yeah, kind of the fairy tale adventures, right? Yeah. Or not even fairy tales, but again, like these mythical stories or people that are just part of childhood. Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Sandman and all those,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this was the last DreamWorks film to be distributed by Paramount, which is interesting.
Yes, that's right.
And I feel like that they were maybe a little bit more experimental. I don't know. I guess they've done some stuff. Like Captain Underpants was actually kind of experimental, which was what I liked about it. But yeah, it's interesting because now Paramount is like, I don't know, like they're just a mess with their animation. Like just in general, their studio is not doing well right now. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if Paramount Animation. I know they've recently done some management changes. I read about that this last week, and again, not with any people that I really knew or had heard of before, but I hope that they can get their act together because, I think more competition makes for better films generally, but I'm with you. And I wondered too, and I wondered this at the time, because it was the last film that DreamWorks said was doing with Paramount, if Paramount marketing kind of gave it, didn't really do a great job marketing the film. I remember not really being overwhelmed by the campaign.
Yeah.
Very much. It looked very unappealing. I remember thinking.
I remember thinking the same thing, and they had so much they could have done with it, but
I know, because there's so much potential that could have made it look so to be the cool film that it is.
Yeah.
And they didn't. I don't know. They almost made it look like it was just another one of these run-of-the-mill CGI movies, which it's not.
Yeah, they didn't. They could have sold it. It's similar to the way that Big Hero 6 sold their movie, for sure. I mean, it has most of the same qualities as Big Hero 6. Maybe not as funny, but they could have sold it like that. But yeah. So it's interesting. But basically, like, the concept is you have all of the heroes of childhood that are made guardians of the earth by the man on the moon, or the moon. and the movie starts out with Jack Frost being made into a guardian, but he doesn't know why he's made into a guardian, because the other guardians, their powers are dependent on people believing in them. But nobody seems to believe in Jack Frost. And so that's where the struggle is. But it's really fun because these aren't like your typical versions of these characters.
Yes.
Which is fun.
Which is really fun. I agree.
And they're kind of, and I have this art book.
That art book, Rachel, looks so cool. Yeah, and there they all are. That's a really great shot of all.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Panel of all the characters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They're you can kind of see from this image that they're kind of kick butt versions of your favorite heroes from childhood, which makes it fun.
Yeah.
And the author wrote the introduction.
William Joyce
wrote the introduction to this book. He says, DreamWorks Animation took everything that I wanted these characters to be and took it so much further than I was ever able to illustrate. The whole work is now grander than I could imagine. And then he says, it is one of those instances where the team really got the vision instantly. It was almost like we were the method animation guys, the way we got into the psychology, background, and history of these characters and came up with organic ways of thinking about them. So that's really interesting that, so the author's basically saying, like, I've never read the books.
Yes, I haven't either.
The author's basically saying that the people at DreamWorks basically elevated what he had put out, both in artistry and in character development, which is pretty nice
really
to say.
A nice compliment. And again, I haven't read the books, but I would agree, because I think that's another strong point about this film is the character development from all these. Because again, it could be so cliche, and so repetitive and so dumb, but instead it's clever, and a really interesting interpretation on all of them, I thought.
Yeah. He says there's an oath in the Guardians books that goes like this: we will watch over the children of Earth, guide them safely from the ways of harm. We will guard with our lives their hopes and dreams, for they are all that we have, all that we are, and all that we will ever be. Everyone at DreamWorks seems to have taken this oath. So that's pretty cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. And again, kind of, you hear that, and then it's disappointing when we look at the box office, I just know that this film didn't do that well, which is a bummer because, it's a good one.
Yeah, they took a pretty significant loss on this movie, which is a shame. I mean, because I feel like this is one we could have gotten many entries in. We could have.
I know.
Stories. It's just a shame.
Yeah, because, one failure like that, and then they're done. They're done, and it's too bad because, again, the world building is so interesting.
Well, and they probably overspent on it too.
Well, yeah, because the animation is really, and it shows. It's all there on the screen. It's such
$145 million is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
$306 million, but it still took a loss.
Yeah. I'm going to blame the marketing too. There's all sorts of things, I know that are a factor, but wow.
But your main character is Jack Frost.
Yes.
In this, and what do you think of him as a character of Jack?
Well, I really liked how he was portrayed. Again, great, a really cool character design because he's like a teenager, a young teenager is what, and again, they could have gone in any number of ways with it, but I really like the way he looked. I mean this as a compliment. He reminded, and it was interesting to look at the timeline. This was a year before Disney's Frozen.
Yeah,
he's kind of like, he's a male Elsa, but but different though. I just think that the way that they handled everything with him is still very unique, and clearly these are competing studios, and they're not going to be sharing a lot of that info. But I still couldn't help think about Frozen every time Jack was on.
Yeah, there's a lot of fan art.
I don't mean that as a slam.
No, I love Frozen, so no, I There's a lot of fan art of Elsa and Jack.
Yes, and then I remember the fan art. You know, I was reminded of that. But I also think another strength of the character is just a really strong vocal performance.
Yeah,
by Chris Pine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that some of the celebrities were necessary in this. I think they could have reduced the budget.
Yeah.
But I think that that he does a good job.
I thought Chris Pine was legit, and
yeah,
I hear you, because again, some of it is almost just like stunt casting, right? You know, and it could have been like the Tooth Fairy. Again, I don't think it's Isla Fisher, right? Isn't that who?
I mean, who's out there being like, well, I got to go to every Isla Fisher movie, you know? Like, I just don't think that's
But I thought Chris Pine was solid.
Yeah,
definitely.
He's good.
And they did, yeah.
You can see. So the design Jack, I think, makes him like a really sincere.
Yes,
character.
And I like, because again, he looks young too, but also, you know, they did a wonderful job with his eyes, and and
it's interesting because Jack Frost, I feel like usually is portrayed as a villain, right,
and that's what I think about. I mean, we think about like those Rankin Bass shows, you know. I mean, he's a bad dude. You know, big nose, and you know, he's got a hat, and he's super grumpy. So this is interesting. You know, he's in a hoodie.
And it's interesting because what do you think about this whole idea that Jack doesn't know why he's a guardian?
Well, I think that's what makes the story interesting, because you know, you just I like how they set it up where you see that, you know, the man in the moon is creating him as they're making him a guardian. And it's a mystery. I mean, we find out with him, and I think that's just one of the interesting narrative points of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like in the end, I agree. I think in the end, like his job is to bring joy to children in a way that's different than Nicholas, not in the sense of gifts and stuff, but he, like at the very beginning, you see him make this sleigh ride fun for this little
little boy. It's like this, he makes it this wonderful, this exciting, thrilling thing, that's such a fun sequence too.
And so he's sort of more like his sister. We find out later that that he died saving his sister, which is why he was made a guardian. And so he was just always sort of a protector. And I think that it just makes him it makes him a likable character because he doesn't have all the answers. He's not all powerful. He's not, and he's like a nice foil, I think, to Pitch Black. Like, I feel like they're kind of similar in a weird way.
Right.
And it's just, where like Pitch Black wants to destroy children and ruin that, like your Jack wants to make them happy.
Yeah.
And so it's really good. And so then you have, I really like that the names of these characters, and I don't know if you really even pick it up if I hadn't read the book, but Nicholas, this book, Nicholas St. North is his name.
Is his name,
Santa Claus, but he's kind of Santa Claus in this is kind of a different Santa Claus than we've ever seen before.
Right, and I liked it. And again, I remember thinking the trailers, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me! They made it look so appealing. But then you watch the film, you think, wow, this interpretation of Santa is unique and really fun.
Yeah, he has all these tattoos.
Yeah,
and he's Russian, which this is the one where I'm like, why did you need Alec Baldwin?
I know.
Literally doesn't even have the same accent.
Yeah, I don't think Alec Baldwin was necessarily an inspired choice for the cast, for the voice cast.
No. But I love how he has the naughty list on his tattoos.
Yes, I do too.
Cool.
It's so great. And that he's not, again, speaking of the Rankin Bass, too, he's not just jolly. He's kind of menacing in a way, because he's big, he's strong. he's he's kind of forceful, but I like that a lot about about it.
Yeah, his job is to be the guardian of wonder. So he so it's a little slightly different. Whereas like Jack is supposed to take care of sort of the fun of kids, whereas Nicholas is more about gifts and wonder and awe and that kind of a thing. And I don't know, yeah, he's funny. He's just like a curmudgeon. He's kind of grumpy.
Yeah.
And
it's cool, yeah.
Yeah, and he has these little elves that are helping him. And the whole design of, we'll talk more about the world building, but the whole design of the North Pole is so gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
So amazing.
Yeah.
So like detailed. I mean, just incredible.
And again, nothing cliche or repetitive of what we've seen in other interpretations of Santa Claus. I was really, really impressed with it. And beautiful. I thought a beautiful use of CGI too.
Yeah, and there's this great whole thing where he has this globe in the room where you can see what's going on, so he's able to deliver the presents, around the world. And it's sort of like Mission Control, this globe.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And so he can see who's believing in what, and he can contact the other guardians and contact the moon. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's really cool.
And yeah, I mean, even his like sleigh is super cute, but yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, and so then you also have Bunnymund is his name. Easter Bunnymund is his actual name, which I think is hilarious.
The Easter Bunny, who's from Australia.
Who's from Australia, because it's Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman. And I thought Hugh Jackman worked in the role. What did you think?
Oh, yeah. He's very funny, very sarcastic. He's great. Yeah, for sure.
And the bunny, the Easter Bunny's fun. He's got these boomerangs and I just like, again, he's not just this sweet, passive kind of character like you'd picture the Easter Bunny to be. He's more like an action hero.
Yeah,
isn't he? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and he takes his eggs and stuff. There's a lot. They kind of criticize him for like, oh, how hard is it to make a bunch of eggs? And he's like, I'm dealing with perishables. He's described as the guardian of hope, which kind of makes sense if you think of like spring.
That's cool. Yeah.
And Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get to see like them dyeing all the eggs, and like just the world building is so amazing on every single one of these. I love and I think he's the first one that Jamie sees, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. And
I think my only it's not necessarily complaint, because I got used to it and it's fun. Like just what you're showing, the eggs with legs were kind of creepy.
Yeah, they are
really fun because it just makes sense. Like, how do you get these eggs to everywhere?
Yeah. That's true.
Too.
That's true. I guess the legs just fall off or whatever when they're in the baskets. I don't know, but yeah.
And his realm was cool because it had also that kind of Pacific Islander look. I love those big stone eggs.
Oh yeah, like a Stonehenge looking.
Yeah, it's really really nicely done.
Yeah, you can. It's hard to see on here, but it's actually there.
Yeah, they are.
All the stone eggs.
I thought they were really cool.
Really, really, really neat. And
super clever.
I mean, there's just so many. It's just such a joy to just watch this movie and just like look at all these little details.
Yeah, there we go. It's so cool because it's just like they went to Australia, New Zealand is what it looks like to me, to do all their to do their research because just
I mean, who's going to pay attention to the designs on the eggs? I mean, all that stuff was taken into account. It's really remarkable on all the etchings on the walls, and they created like whole cultures basically out of these realms, which is so interesting. And
I'm listening.
Okay, and then so you have the Tooth Fairy, who is voiced by Ella Fisher, and she is the guardian of memories. And her character is probably the most important character next to Jack.
Yeah,
because in this world, the teeth have to be collected because the teeth carry your memories, the memories of childhood. So if the children don't believe in the Tooth Fairy, then they don't believe in like childhood, and they're not gonna they need to get those memories. And so the Tooth Fairy actually collects all the teeth so that they can store all the memories. And this has like a very like fantastical. Her realm has a very like fantastical feel.
Yeah.
To it, it's very like a willow tree almost.
Yes. And she's aided by all these little. They look like hummingbirds to me, kind of, and I thought they were beautifully animated. And
yeah, she has all these baby tooth.
Yes.
That are really cute. And the mini fairies there.
Yeah. They're cute.
And that's when Pitch goes after them. And he takes the mini fairies. He abducts them. And so and like one by one, each of the guardians starts to lose their power because Pitch focuses on each of them. And the most devastating one is when he steals all of the teeth. And the children don't believe in Tooth Fairy anymore.
Yeah.
And it's really it's really good. I mean, do we understand what Pitch's motivation is? Do we ever get an idea of what he's just trying to?
Well, that's one thing I was wondering about. What exactly his? I mean,
he's just to kind of be a bad guy.
It's like a bad guy and like world domination, right? Like, and just make the world the way he wants it to be. But one other character though too. Can we show the art for Sandman?
Yes. So he's the guardian of dreams.
Because it seems like Sandman and Pitch also are connected in a way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
So there's no voice actor for Sandman because he actually doesn't speak.
Yeah.
And so his role is to, provide the dreams. And Pitch wants to turn them into nightmares.
Yeah.
And they're very similar in the sense of like, it's like, it looks kind of like sand.
Right. And that's one of the design elements I loved in this film was the Sandman is made of sand. And so it's beautiful. He's a beautiful CGI design. And I love those strands of sand, that go out. It almost, again, it looks like it's these.
Yeah, it's almost like pixie dust.
Yeah, this pixie dust. And again, how it gets counteracted with the stuff from Pitch. So it's the black pixie dust versus the magical, kind of tan glowing pixie dust.
Yeah, I agree. And he even like changes, what is it? Is it a unicorn or something like that? That he changes it into like a beast. I can't remember, but he changes what Sandman does. You can see there's the design of Pitch, and
Pitch is voiced by Jude Law.
Yeah,
and I thought Jude Law was good in this role too. What did you think, Ray?
I agree. I think he's very good. He's very menacing.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Shots. Yeah, right there.
That's the black horse.
And then on the other side, the other page there too, you can kind of see what we were talking about, like those streaks, those black, the pixie dust, the not pixie dust.
Yeah, let me get that on the camera real quick here. So yeah, you can see kind of It's really cool. It kind of reminds me of like a Dementor.
Yeah, I know. I some of this stuff I almost felt Harry Potter-esque. I thought too. The way, yeah, it is. It's Dementor or even Voldemort, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see in this picture, you can see how Sandman and Pitch kind of meet up.
Yeah, they meet up.
This one on the bottom.
But I'm with you about Pitch's motivation. I'm not particularly sure because did he have a beef with him too? I mean, was he out for revenge? I don't. If he was, I just don't know if that was relevant or did I miss it? Was it something very obvious that I missed?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess he says this version of the boogeyman is extrapolated from the classic guy who hides under your bed. The whole idea with him is his weapon is fear. Fear makes him powerful. This came in the shifting shape of a villain named Pitch, wrote William Joyce. The dreams he hungered for most were those of children, the pure of heart. He could sense children from 7 planets off, and with a mere touch of his hands, he could leave them plagued with nightmares for the rest of their lives. So, like, basically, it sounds like the dreams of the children kind of feed him.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not the strongest motivation in the world, but there you go. It says there are a lot of times in movies you see characters who are the bad guys, even if they don't deserve to be the villains. But with Pitch, we had the original bad guy, the boogeyman. The question was, how entertaining could we make him? He's like Darth Vader in Star Wars or Scar in The Lion King, says Creed. He uses very contained gestures, which are in sharp contrast to North, who was big, wild, and very expressive. So I think, I don't know how to go that far.
Yeah.
With Darth Vader and a Scar.
Yeah, I don't know. But the way that, you showed the picture, I mean, Pitch is a very elegant villain.
Yeah.
He's got that wonderful kind of robe style and very, very sharp features. I mean, not there's this comparison, but kind of like Maleficent from the 1959 Sleeping Beauty, just very sharp features. I mean, he looks bad, he looks like he's a villain, but again, with all that wonderful CGI stuff that they do for him as he's spreading fear and fighting the Guardians.
Yeah. I mean, and he is powerful. At one point, I mean, he basically is almost successful except for Jamie, and he even kills Sandman at a certain point, which is rude, scary. I mean,
yeah, it was. Yeah. That's the scary part of the film. Yeah.
I mean, and that is maybe also a problem with this movie is that it is probably too scary for little kids.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. If it's just a little too intense.
I'm talking like your preschool age, your kindergartners.
Yeah.
I would not take my...
Yeah, and again, they're would be maybe more accustomed to at that age to these different interpretations, these more traditional interpretations of these characters as we've talked about, and then to see it because it's not a dark film, but I agree with you that it's scary. There's some scary elements, so yeah. There
definitely are some scary elements, and it can be kind of sad, and I think just like I don't know, I just don't think it's made for small children. So it's interesting. But that's the strength of this book. That's the strength of this movie is the beautiful art design, theme, and the incredible characters. That's where it's so great.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, totally agree.
And so you also have Pitch, and this is one of the other scary parts. Not only does he kill Sandy, but he also takes all of the baby tooth fairies, and he's gonna kill them. And so finally Jack agrees to give his staff over to Pitch, and Pitch breaks it in half, and that causes Jack to get his memories back.
Yeah.
So he realizes that he died saving his sister.
Yeah.
And what happens, and then he's able to repair his stick, and he's able to rescue the baby fairies. But that's pretty interesting scene. Why do you think the Man on the Moon decided to make Jack a guardian?
That's a really good question, Rachel. Again, I think clearly for his heroism, right, and his the goodness of his heart, and I think he could see to the kind of person that Jack was going to develop, turn out to be. And then again, also just from a pure narrative standpoint, I just think it's interesting that they picked a teenager or a more youthful person to do this, who again is still young and learning and forming views, rather than somebody who is kind of already set in their ways. That's at least that's what I was thinking. What about you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that he is a pure character, and I think that's probably why. Like, he's very honest about being sad. He's honest about being frustrated. He's honest about being being happy when he's happy, all that kind of things. And yeah, he did make the ultimate sacrifice and saving his sister. And so I think that's why. And yeah, you kind of need him with all of these other characters, because he's the only one that doesn't really have like a world. He's the only one that doesn't have
exactly.
He's the one that can come in and kind of be like calling you out on your shenanigans.
Yeah.
And so there's also this boy named Jamie who's sort of a character, and this is where I think the movie like starts to get a little meandering, is whenever it goes back to Jamie.
It goes back to Jamie. It goes like the kids in the neighborhood, the cute kids in the neighborhood that are representative of the children of the world, right?
Yeah. And I don't know, it just doesn't work that well. I think it's trying to do kind of what Arthur Christmas does much more successfully with the little girl in that movie who writes the letter and everything like that. But
yeah, it's like these are the Cindy Lou Who's, of this movie that, again, they serve a bit of a narrative device, but I am with you. I get a little bored.
Yeah.
Or I got a little bored when they they're back with the kids again. Can we
Yeah, and it just kind of like you sort of start to lose track a little bit of like what's going on.
Yeah.
With the Guardians, like you've been with this other, and it just feels like this other movie, I think, whenever it goes back.
Yeah, because same thing too. It pulls you into a more realistic environment. I mean, the way that the kids live in a world that looks like today, right?
Yeah.
And so you're in these wonderful, fantastical environments, and then you're pulled into this neighborhood that, frankly, is nondescript.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that Nightmare Before Christmas does it much better, where it's just kind of like you see these flashes of these, these kids opening up their bad presents and getting scared, or these things. We don't need to have Jamie opening up a story.
And then that Easter egg hunt which never seems to end.
Yeah.
They can't find. Like, we get it.
I mean, I guess they're trying to show that, like, they're trying to show that he can't see Jack, and then finally he can see Jack, and sort of like trying to show those memories things. But I think you could do that with just being some nondescript kid, and that you don't have to have this sort of story arc with Jamie.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. It's a weak point.
Yeah.
For me too.
But it all, of course, ends happy.
It ends happily, yay!
With them all, Pitch is gone. They're able to defeat Pitch, and they are able to. Then they are all accepted, as Jack is accepted as a guardian by all, and there you go. And it is such a shame, because it just seems like the perfect spot to have another movie, but oh well.
But alas, not.
But one thing that's so cool, I highly recommend anyone who has interest in animation to pick up this book, because what's really cool is there's this whole thing called The Making of Sequence, and it's all about the Tooth Palace, and they have this printout that was like a poster that shows. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So that shows sort of the mapping of what goes on to make a feature film, like the sound design and the so you have post-production, coloring, image finalizing, FX, putting in crowds, character design, surfacing, editorial, all that stuff, and how they all kind of connect and communicate and everything, and which is so interesting. And then they have like this
really
little
nicely done
paragraphs that explains who it was.
They give more description of each of those.
Yeah, so we learn here Joyce Aristia is the lead editor, and we get a little thing from, a little quote from her about what her experience working on the film, and Andy Harbreck, surfacing supervisor. You know, most people that know animation don't know what a surfacing supervisor is, so it's kind of cool in this book. You can learn what all these various people did to make the film, and they have in their experience, and then we talk about all that went into making the sequence there, and there's a whole bunch of their storyboards too.
Oh, that's really cool.
So like story, art, modeling, surfacing, rigging, layout, animation, character effects, crowds, matte painting, effects, lighting. Anyway,
amazing. That's so cool.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, just major props to these animation studios. There's so much work that goes into these films, particularly the good ones.
And I think, like, personally, I feel like in reality, only people that are really into animation are going to watch a video about obscure animation. But I think that you do yourself a disservice if you just are a watcher and you don't learn about, what goes in, whether it's the acting or the various things. I think you do yourself a disservice, and you should find out about these different things. It'll make you appreciate the movies that you watch, even the bad movies. You appreciate them a lot more.
Yeah, agreed.
And cool. Also, at the end, they have.
Oh, that's so cool. They show the team.
Yeah, a picture of the entire team that worked on the movie, which is just neat.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So anyway, this is a really cool book.
That
I'll put a
book,
link down.
Rachel, looks amazing because, as we kind of mentioned earlier, not all of these art of books are created equally, and this one looks like it's just absolutely stellar.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of them, like, I was really disappointed in the art because I am a defender of The Good Dinosaur. I liked it, and so I was hoping that the art book would be really cool, and because it was such a process to make the movie, and that, like, anybody, even if you didn't like the movie, like, it is beautiful, and so I was hoping it would be better. It really wasn't very good. It was more like a coffee table book.
Yeah.
That you should appreciate. It didn't go into the details about
like this,
the surfacing guy, and like things like this, and like detail about all the lands and are all the characters. It was pretty disappointing. So, but yeah, this one's a great one. I'll put a link. If I'll try to find it on Amazon and put a link if you guys want to check it out. But
and then one interesting thing that just in doing a little research too, Rachel, that William Joyce is still creating these Guardians of Childhood books. There's another one coming out this fall.
Yeah,
I think that the one is another Jack Frost book. But I need to go check out some of these books. They look really interesting. I thought I'm going to go to the library and see what I can find.
I'm surprised they at least couldn't do one of the DreamWorks series that they've done.
I know that they put all these, they're doing all these series on Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, they have that spirit monstrosity, and so you'd think if they were going to do that.
I mean, they did one for Turbo. I mean, come on, And
yeah, I mean, this would have way more potential.
Yeah, there's so much
that.
The potential of this is. No, I hear you. It's disappointing, but William Joyce, it's interesting that I believe this is his only project that he's done with DreamWorks, because he collaborated with Disney. He have you ever, I don't know if you've seen the children's book that he did, A Day with Wilbur Robinson, but that's what Meet the Robinsons is based off of. It's just a picture book.
Oh,
and it's delightful. It is just the most charming book. I have a copy of it somewhere in my house. I was hoping to be able to show you some pictures, but I couldn't find it. But I saw it. It's on Amazon. But then he also did a couple of movies with Blue Sky Studios too. He did Robots.
I love
2005.
Robots was one of my first obscure animations that I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when I was just doing edited.
How cool.
Because I think it's way underrated. It's basically the same story as Zootopia.
Yeah.
With robots, and I think the villain isn't great, but the villain's not that great. The villain's a little one note and kind of annoying, but other than that, I love it. I think it's really good.
It's so clever. I think the design, again, just the overall art direction and production design and character design is wonderful in Robots.
I actually have a Robots art book too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I bet that one's good too.
Yeah, it's really good.
And also, he was a producer on Epic from Blue Sky, which I didn't know.
I've actually been thinking about suggesting Epic for obscure animation because it's got problems, but I think it's a little underrated. I like it.
It's based on a short story called that William Joyce wrote, a picture book called The Leaf Men and the Brave Good Bugs.
William Joyce is just my guy.
I mean, he is. And it's just amazing. He's so prolific. He just doesn't stop doing stuff. So
one of the good ones. Definitely, it's one of their best CG animated films for sure. And it's very creative. It's very beautiful. And so check it out. Let us know what you think about Rise of the Guardians. And you find it underrated like we do. And let us know what you would like us to talk about next month or future months. Give us your feedback. And where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at Stanford Clark, and I also have a movie blog, which is moviespastandpresent.com.
Great. I'll have a link for that in the description section, and you can find me at Rachel's Reviews here on YouTube and on iTunes, and you can follow me on social media at Smiling LDS Girl. So check that out. And thanks again. This was really fun.
Thanks, Rachel. Great to visit with you. Thanks again.
Bye.